Today we are going to discuss the first literary text in our course, which is romantic poet. He is William Wordsworth. Of course, William Wordsworth is one of the greatest uh, romantic poets. The poetry that we are going to study is She Dwelt Among the Untrodden Ways by William Wordsworth. She dwelt among the untrodden ways, beside the springs of love, a maid whom there were none to praise, and very few to love, a violet by a moss stone, half hidden from the eye, fair as a star, when only one is shining in the sky. She lived unknown, and few could know when Lucy ceased to be, but she's in her grave, and oh, the difference to me. As you realize, the form of the poem is simple, and here we see the poem is arranged in stanzas. They are varied in their length. This is the first stanza, and we have another second stanza and a third stanza. Okay, so the structure of the poem is divided into three structures, three stanzas. I mean. First of all, in the first stanza, the poet started speaking about anonymous girl, and he said she. The first thing we as readers will ask, who is she? But the point that William Wordsworth wants is to make the that the name is not important, but you have to know what this girl is. So he focused on the information about her more than rather than her name. At the end of the poem, he will introduce the name after giving you a background about this girl. She dwelt among the untrodden ways. He tells us about this girl that she lived away from people. How do we know how that she's away from people? When he say and he said the untrodden ways. The untrodden ways are the ways that people rarely walk in, beside the springs of love. Now he give us the place, he specifies it, and he said that she lived in a very far place near the springs of love. Now, the idea of that the girl is living away from people and he describes the natural setting is very important to the romantic poet. Uh, a major theme in romanticism is the theme of solitude, where poets prefer to live far away from people, but alone with nature. Nature, which is having a sacred and holy dimension. A maid whom there were none to praise and very few to love. And he said that because she has lived in far places, no one knows her. Very few people know her, and consequently, the people who loved her are also very few as well. The idea of the word maid is important. Here we have a conclusion, general conclusion that she is young. How do we know? We know from the word maid, maid, okay? A maid whom there were none to praise. So this is the first paragraph. A violet by a moss stone. In the second paragraph, he started with a metaphor, okay? He started with a metaphor, a violet by a moss stone. A violet by a Moses stone. This is a metaphor. He likened the girl to a flower. This flower is the violet. It's a very beautiful flower. But what about this flower? It's near a Moses stone. A Moses stone is a kind of a stone that it's covered by certain plants. They are called with a green color. We call them Moses stone. Okay. The idea that she is very beautiful, but no one knows about her beauty because she is covered from people. She is far away from people. So the place where she lived is like the Moses stone, okay? That the idea that something beautiful besides something not beautiful, okay? Why that this Moses stone covered her from the eyes. People don't see this flower because it's behind or it's covered by this Moses stone. Exactly. She is very beautiful, but she is far away from people. She lives in a place where people are very few to live. So she is covered from people, and very few know about her beauty. Fair as a star, when only one is shining in the sky. Also, in this stanza, we have another another figures of speech. Here we have a simile. The first one, we have a metaphor, a violet by a Moses stone. Okay, but in the third line, we have a simile, fair as a star. When we say fair as star, here we have the tool as. He likened her as a star in her fairness and her beauty, when only one. Okay, when you look at the sky in a complete dark night, and in this sky, we just have only one star. This star will be the only source of light in the sky, which is completely dark. And this gives this star another importance that she is rare. Here, the girl is rare like that star, which is, there is only one star in the sky. Now she is fair as a star when only one is shining in the sky. I think the image is now clear. Both imagery, the first metaphor and the second simile, tell us or denote that she's very beautiful. And the idea that she is far away from people and none knows her. The persona compares her to a shining star in a dark sky, okay? This tells us that she is very beautiful, like the only star in the sky. Now we move to the last stanza. She lived unknown, and if you could know. Again, in the last stanza, he confirmed and emphasized what was mentioned in the first stanza. He expresses this differently in the first stanza. In the first stanza, he said, she dwelt among the untrodden ways. The word untrodden ways expresses the idea that she lived unknown. Okay, again, in the last stanza, he used the same meaning but expressed differently. She lived unknown, like the first stanza. So in the final stanza, he is going to emphasize what was mentioned earlier in the first stanza. And you could know, again, the idea is repeated. She lived unknown, and if you could know. Until now, the information for us is not new. It is repeated. When Lucy, now who is Lucy? As you see now in the final stanza, in the last stanza, the poet mentioned the name of the girl, of the maid. Her name is Lucy. When Lucy ceased to be, the word ceased means died. Now we as readers are surprised by this information. We think he is going to tell us something else rather than telling us that she died. But now After this beautiful description of her beauty in the first two stanzas, he told us now that she died. She said, okay, she died. And only when she died, very few know that she died. But she is in her grave. And oh, the difference to me. He said that she lived unknown and died also unknown. No one realizes that she died because very few know her. But the one who has felt sad for her death is the poet because he knows her. And we know that from the last line when he said, the difference to me. It makes difference to me, not the difference to others. So this is one of William Wordsworth's beautiful poems. It's part of a series of poems called Lucy poems. So this character or this figure, this maid, he wrote many poems about her, and this is one of the Lucy poems. Now we'll move to discuss the imagery in the poem. She dwelt among the untrodden ways. Now here we have, the image here, we can imagine the ways that she used to walk in, untrodden ways. The idea in the second line, beside the springs of love. Here, this is a visual image. The springs of love. This is the place where she used to live, love. And the springs, we can imagine the water of the springs. So this could be a visual image. And also it could be auditory because you could hear the sound of water. A maid, the word a maid is a visual image. Okay? When I read the word maid, I imagine this girl. We'll move now to the second stanza. A violet by a Moses stone. This is also a visual image. When I read this line, I can imagine a very beautiful flower, which is the violet, near the Moses stone. The word Moses also is visual, Moses stone. I can imagine the stone which is covered with this green plants. Also, it could be olfactory. It's related to the smell sense. So this line could be a visual and could be olfactory image. Half hidden from the eye also, half hidden also I can imagine it in through the visual image. Fair as a star, also as a star, I when only one is also another visual image. As you see, the whole poem is complete, full with many visual imagery and olfactory imagery and so on. Shining, shining also could be visual image and could be tactile image. She lived unknown and very few could know when Lucy ceased to be, but she's in her grave. In her grave, the word grave is a visual image and oh, the difference to me. This is with regard to analysis, the analysis of the imagery in the poem. Now we'll move to discuss now the rhyme scheme and the rhythm and the rhyme. She dwelt among the untrodden ways. Unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed. Okay? And here we have ways, dove, praise, love. We'll give the word ways the first alphabet in English, which is A. And the second sound, we'll give it B. Whenever the sound is changed, we give another symbol. Okay, so ways, we'll give it A, dove, B, praise, rhyme with ways, the same rhyme, ways, praise, the same sound. So again, this is A and this will be A, praise. Love rhymes with dove, so it is here B. So let us repeat it. The rhyme scheme of the first stanza, A, B, A, B. Okay? We move to the second stanza. Stone is a new sound. We'll give it C, the letter C. I is a new sound. It's D. One is the same sound like stone. We said C, D, C. Sky, the same sound like I. We give it D, C, D, C, D. No, a new sound, we give it after D comes the letter E. Okay, no, E. B, a new sound, we give it F. O, like no. So again, D, I think E, we said it. E and me, F. This is the analysis of the poem. What is the major theme of the poem? Here, the poet speaks about the girl who lived in a very far place, away from people, and this is a simple girl. You know, romantic poetry focuses on simple people, and this simplicity, the idea of simple people and natural scene is very important in the romantic poetry. This girl lived and died and had this is not noticed by anyone. The idea is that a beauty sometimes could be found in unexpected places, like this girl who was very beautiful and she lived in a very far place. Okay, by this we come to end our lecture. Next time we'll start with writing, we're discussing another another piece of poetry. See you then, and we'll stop our lecture.